about them Irish?
I can't take it anymore. I need a national championship.
This is the Four Horsemen Podcast.
And we are back. 2019 Notre Dame football is undefeated, and we are not getting sued by anyone. So, welcome to episode 19 of the Four Horsemen Podcast.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, everything is alleged what we say here. So, last episode ended pretty weird. We had a song by James Blunt that we thought was in public domain. It was not. And when I go to edit the podcast, they
locked it.
It was weird. They just said you can't do anything to this until you take out music. And I said, what song did we use? And it was Goodbye My Lover by James Blunt. So apparently, James Blunt, fan of the podcast.
Can I tell you something?
That's cool.
I think James Blunt is a word that rhymes with blunt.
I think I know
Which
what
is
word we're
also
talking
a
about.
device for smoking marijuana. So he's 420 friendly. I think we just solved the mystery.
So, with Mr. Blunt and Steve getting us almost arrested, all songs from now on, or not arrested, sued really. All songs from now on will be a cappella. You're welcome. So now that note's out of the way, it's 2019. The Irish are undefeated since December 30th, 2019. And before we begin, there's some news of note about Clemson. They may have accidentally given the 3 players who are suspended, 2 players with 1 going to the draft, the Austrian. So, that's all I'm saying.
Interesting. Did we ever kind of go through who won the bowl recap, or was that never really finalized?
I think it was your girlfriend.
Yeah, but did we talk about the national championship game at all? We did one podcast, right?
We did a podcast after, and I just swore a whole bunch.
Right.
It was a lot of depression at that.
Yeah, so that game happened. We're on to the AAF now, so
Jamarcus Russell, he's a Memphis whatever.
no,
the fuck
that's a lie. That was a fake one.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, do better. So, really, a lot of stuff happened since December 29th. Some good, some bad, some otherwise. But let's get
Mostly
to
bad.
it. Mostly bad.
Tough.
Not great things are happening for Notre Dame.
Yeah, my life is terrible. It has not markedly improved in any way.
All right, moving on.
All right, well,
All right, moving on.
now that we've got the sticks up there, one thing that really
Good luck with that
pissed me
one,
off,
Steve.
and I want you all to know this, and I don't know if they have Labor Day in Canada
Yeah, we do.
With a U?
with a U or with an O.
The U, the way it's originally spelled, yes.
Go fuck
So
yourself.
it's not actually Labor Day. It doesn't count.
All right. So one thing that really bothers me: Notre Dame's playing on Labor Day, on Monday. The first game of the season is on a Monday. I don't like it. I
Who
don't
are we playing?
Like
Is it like New Mexico or Louisville?
Louisville? Brand new coach. That's a trap game and a half.
Is Van Gorder still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we know we're going to put up some yards.
Yeah. Big 72 going to be hung on Louisville.
I hope so. So yeah, I just want to make that point clear, and I will make that point abundantly clear every day until the season starts. I don't love a Monday Labor Day game. So going off of
Why?
that,
What's wrong with that? Elaborate for a second.
well,
Because we're going to be way too hungover. It's too deep into Labor Day weekend, and you want to talk about scaries. I mean, what's that game kick off at 3:30 like usual? By the time it's 7 o'clock, got work tomorrow, long weekend, a lot of drinking.
Summer's done. Labor Day in America is the end of summer.
That's usually a great golfing day. Like,
They may make it that bullshit 7 p.m. game. So I don't know. That's where we're sitting right now. So going off of that, Dylan, we'll teach you all about America someday. And from there, let's talk about the top three. Good segue, right? I'm getting better at them. Let's talk about the top 3 moments of the season.
Wasn't there a little bit more pressing news to get to first?
We'll get to it. He ain't going nowhere. Besides
All
that
right.
top end.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll tell you where he's not going to his class at Notre Dame. But yeah, we'll let you lead here. You are the captain of the ship. So top 3 moments, take it away.
I mean, we're gonna put a nice stamp on the 2018 season. Really, just go over each of our favorite moments this year, and I'll let Dylan start. Dylan, take it away. Top moment for you.
Yeah, I thought about this one a little bit because we brought it up a few months ago. It's tough because we had a really good season. It ended in heartbreak and disaster, but I mean, it was a really good season overall. For me, it's got Anderson sack fumble.
Dylan, start that again. It's
Start over.
Right. It's got to be, for me at least, the Shea Patterson sack fumble to end the game against Michigan week 1. The reason for that being is when deciding a moment, I had to pick a game that mattered most to me, and it was definitely the Michigan game. I hate them more than anyone. That includes the Southern Cal Trojans. It's the rivalry renewed. It's in South Bend. It's under the lights. I fucking hate Michigan. I don't know if I've mentioned that. So kind of winning that game with a huge, sack fumble, that's probably the moment for me. There's so many to pick from.
Steve, what's yours?
Yeah, that's also my number 1 moment of the year. Just them. It looked like some sort of stunt blitz. Jerry Tillery just did not quit. Neither did Khalid Kareem, and both of them just eventually forced Shea Patterson to run into one of them. I forget who. I think Khalid Kareem actually got the final sack. But yeah, that was awesome. But my since that's taken, I'm gonna go with Ian Book pulling down the read option play and finishing off Northwestern on a 30-something yard touchdown run. That put us up by 10 with like less than 3 minutes left. And that made us 10-0 heading into Syracuse, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't remember that game at all. That's the one game this year I have no memory of is the Northwestern game.
It was one of those sleepy Evanston, mid-afternoons, but that turned into an evening pretty quick. And just remembering under the lights, him and Dexter lined up, and he pulled on the option. He just pulled it down and was scampering up the left sideline, pretty much untouched. So that was once he crossed the line, or once he got free, I was like, all right, that's it. I'm concerned about Syracuse, but I'm not really afraid, and I think we'll win out. So it was basically that point in which I knew we had something special, and we were almost guaranteed a playoff spot.
And mine is actually in the Syracuse week. 2 of them, kind of a part 1, part 2 type of thing. Alohi Gilman's interception in that game, all the turnovers that he had.
Which interception?
The one with the long run back.
Okay.
So that was one that was going away from where we were sitting towards the outfield. That was a pretty cool one. I was taking a picture of these 2 guys, the first Notre Dame game, first college football game, and they go, hey, can you take a picture for us? So as soon as I took the picture, he picked the ball, and me and those 2 random men just celebrated, and it was awesome. So that was the top moment there. And then when Syracuse, New York's team, got booed out of Yankee Stadium for being cowards and kicking that field goal, and then everyone just chanting "Beat SC" until I got in the card to go home. So those were 2 pretty cool moments. I've never got to experience an alma mater with the full Notre Dame band, so that was cool. And fuck USC. So
yeah, it's very funny you said New York's team because it just kind of occurred to me America's three biggest cities are really Notre Dame towns. Chicago, well, not Boston's not one of the biggest ones, but Chicago, New York, and then Boston, the distant third.
Well, Chicago was. I mean, sorry, Boston is the best. It doesn't have to be the biggest to be the best.
Yeah, no, but three major cities in the U.S. There's Boston College, Syracuse, and Northwestern, and in all of those towns, Notre Dame has a bigger following. It's just kind of funny to me.
Bunch of Irish people there. Weird. So that's the 2019 season. And my ultimate favorite moment was having you, the listeners, listen to the Four Horsemen podcast.
Boo.
Brought to you by Anchor.
That's
I was going to say this has to be an ad.
No, but thank you for everyone who's listened and who's given us $2 in ad revenue. Don't worry, we won't spend it all in one place. I think that's like $20 Canadian. So Dylan's going to be rolling in the dough.
Oh, 20. I think it's 30 actually now. So yeah, I'm feeling good.
That's 2 Canada shots. I get one more for the rest of the episode.
That's one Big Mac combo.
All right, awesome. So moving on. I don't know why I said awesome there, but we have some news. Steve alluded to it. Javon McKinley, he's gone. He's done. So Steve, since you were the one who broke the news to me, / you were the only person who knew who Javon McKinley was, tell us what happened, if you know.
Well, first off, to give some context as to who Javon McKinley is, he's a redshirted freshman, who was pretty much poised to battle it out and fight in camp with Kevin Austin for a spot. He was likely going to back up Kevin Austin, but after this year, looks as though he was pretty much going to take the Z spot, or I'm sorry, gonna take over one of the spots once Chris Finke is done with his 36th season. So. So he was a 4-star recruit. He was I think like 108th ranked nationally. So if you're ranked in the top 110, 115 recruits, you're obviously talented. 4-star kid. He was like 6'3", 200. So a lot of upside. Obviously had to sit out because there was some talent on the chart ahead of him, but he was definitely going to get some playing time this year. Turns out at 4:47 in the morning, Notre Dame police did arrest him for, let's call a spade, just cracking his girlfriend, and I think he was drunk and disorderly and evading police. And
I thought he hit
I thought he hit a cop.
It was a female cop that he hit.
Maybe he was dating the cop. How do you know? I don't know. I mean,
allegedly, this is all alleged.
Allegedly, he crushed her right in the side of the head. So, whatever. I mean, it's a scumbag thing for him to do. Fuck him. He'll 99.9% chance be kicked out of school. I would imagine so. It's not like we don't have talent behind him. We have Braden Lenzy, who runs like a 10-3 100-meter dash. He's ridiculously fast.
And he's fully committed to football now.
Yeah, he dropped off track to focus on football. He's a speedster, so he can conceivably bump up now. Joe Wilkins is a redshirted sophomore. I think he was a 3-star recruit once upon a time, but he's obviously had 3 years to develop. So, I mean, this opens up some things with camp. I'm pretty sure we needed to cut 1 or 2 guys just because we were 1 or 2 scholarships over, so this actually kind of helps, but it wouldn't be a true Brian Kelly offseason if there wasn't somebody getting arrested for doing something incredibly fucking stupid.
I have 2 things. Can I get a breaking news sound? Fresh off the presses, TMZ South Bend report that McKinley arrived on campus in an Uber just before 4 a.m. This is all according to the court report and the affidavits.
Allegedly.
This is reported. So 1 foot down reported this, not us.
Allegedly reported.
McKinley was reportedly unresponsive in the back of a vehicle, the Uber, and Notre Dame personnel attempted to wake him and take him back to his dorm. So he got too lit and he fell asleep in the back of the Uber. We've all been there before.
But we have all been there before. Wait, do I have Uber up in Canada? Because maybe not all of us have been there.
Yes, we do.
It was too easy. I'm sorry.
Strange. After finally waking the student, Notre Dame officers, names redacted, began to help McKinley to his dorm, but he reportedly stopped walking and refused to continue.
My opinion of this guy's getting a lot better as the story goes on.
I mean,
this is actually
done
kind
it.
of helping his cause,
Yeah.
if we're being honest.
he can come on the podcast anytime he wants. The two officers said they could smell alcohol on his breath and believed that in his condition, he required assistance. The officers reportedly told McKinley they wanted to get him out of the cold. He tensed up and tried to leave in the opposite direction of his dorm. Side note, this is how George Gipp died. He got pneumonia because he got locked out of his dorms. So
Because he got too lit in an Uber.
George
I'm pretty sure
Gipp
it was
and
like
Javon
Russell
McKinley,
Buckley.
one and the same. He hasn't had a catch for Notre Dame yet. According to court documents, the officers said that they identified themselves to McKinley as campus police, but were unable to gain control of him. In their efforts to restrain McKinley, he reportedly punched both officers, according to court documents. McKinley was eventually restrained with the assistance of Notre Dame firefighters, who also responded and was transported to St. Joseph County Jail.
The firefighters got involved?
Yeah. He was preliminary charged with felony level battery and misdemeanor level resisting law enforcement. The charges were altered at his arraignment to 2 misdemeanor level counts of battery and 1 misdemeanor count of underage drinking. So he had himself a fucking night.
At least when
All right.
Michael Floyd was too lit and driving around like a friggin' idiot, he just had the sense to just be driving around, you know? At least, like, you can't hurt anyone just driving around drunk. But when you're walking around in the cold in the middle of South Bend in the winter, that's when it's dangerous.
Wonder what
So
his
I'm
star
glad-
rating was in Uber.
Yeah.
Then you got 5 stars. But no, I have a real actual point. Friend of the program, Tommy Reese and Carlo Calabrese, not a friend of the program yet. They got arrested. Remember that? When Carlo Calabrese got arrested for threatening an officer by saying, "My people will come find you." Because
Listen,
he's this big
on behalf of the
Gindalone
Italians,
The-
I have a
Tommy-
statement on behalf of the Italian people.
Oh boy.
Yes.
That could mean anything. All right? That could have been a term of endearment at the time. So, Carlo, I got your back, buddy.
Well, he's a freaking
From my
big
family to
Gindalone in the
yours.
middle of Indiana, and he's telling a bunch of hit cops over there that my people will get you. I'm guaranteed they watch The Sopranos and they probably know what it
That
means.
just means like, hey, you know what? You help me out, I'll get you back. You know?
You know,
Listen, all right. Look at me. Look at me. All right. Listen here. You insulted him a little bit. All right. You guys can't see me, but I'm doing my Robert De Niro face.
yeah, it sounds like something.
It sounds super Italian. So, I do have a problem with this. There has been a pattern in the Brian Kelly offseason that people just get arrested left and right. Be smarter. You're a Notre Dame football player. You walk on water.
I
You
think
can-
it just goes to show the high moral standards at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, fucking Alabama would give this kid a scholarship and probably get his Uber rating back to 5 stars.
Of course,
So-
but it's just it's a lot of bullshit that we
I mean, he hit a
ourselves
cop.
into.
He hit
Yeah, I mean,
This happens. This
if
happens.
it was just
at
a
Notre Dame
drunken
often.
disturbance, yeah, whatever. Everyone's been there, acting like a drunk asshole. when you're swinging at cops, that's when you're pretty much gone. So,
Gives a new
R.I.P. and
meaning to
PJ
the-
Von. Somebody cue the "Goodbye, My Lover" music.
I think the point has to be raised. When is this holier than thou bullshit at Notre Dame going to end?
Never.
Our
It-
guys aren't better than anyone else's guys. We get arrested more than like half of the other schools.
No, we get found out. That's the thing.
Yeah, that you read about. We actually publish it.
So, and you're telling me that Tathan Martell isn't going to go get in trouble in Ohio, and they're just going to brush it under the rug because he's Tathan Martell?
Well, now he's in South Beach.
Oh, he left Ohio State, didn't he?
Yeah, Fields and Martell both got their friggin' redshirt years waived so they can play immediately. So Martell's in Miami and Fields is in
Whatever.
Columbus.
They're both going to suck. Put on the record. 2019, 4 horsemen curse. Tate, Martell, we are coming for you. Notre Dame doesn't play y'all this year, but the Four Horsemen are there. We are your boogeyman. We will sleep under your bed. Tate Martell, Tathan, whatever your name is, you're no QB1. You're a QB3. And let me tell you something. I will watch every game and rain hell upon you with this Four Horsemen curse. You, my friend, have been cursed.
Okay, so this is getting a little off track and weird.
Sorry.
What's next up on the agenda, guys?
Let's talk
Dylan,
about National Signing Day. I think we had a really good signing day. I think it was 12th in the nation out of everything. We lost out on that Washington wide receiver.
Asa Turner.
Yeah, safety, Asa Turner. Kind of saw that coming. But other than that, nothing of note. Foskey, that's his last name, right?
Isaiah Foskey. Yeah, he's 6'5", about
he signed
240.
in December.
Sorry?
He signed in December. He just made it known in February. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty happy with everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Dylan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I just know he's a dual player, right? He plays defensive end and tight end. I don't know if Notre Dame's decided which he'll be. But this was actually our lowest rated class in 5 years, but nobody involved with the program feels that way. Like media, fans, everyone's pretty stoked about it. It's a pretty deep class, but it's the lowest rated class we've had in a long time. I'm pretty excited for it. I think there's a lot of talent there, and I think it's pretty deep. And we've been talking about this before, that we have a lot of depth right now at Notre Dame with our recruits from last year, recruits from this year. And then next year, we got a lot of high prospects coming in as well. So it was a pretty average, boring National Signing Day, not like in the past where I still remember when Juju Smith was flipping between Notre Dame and SoCal, and Adoree Jackson too. So that was more of an interesting one. That was, I think, 2014 maybe. But yeah, it was pretty boring. Foskey announced that day. We all knew it. It was 100% predictor on 24/7. So yeah, I'm pretty thrilled with it. I like the direction the program's going. It's hard not to. But we just got to stay away from, all this crime that Notre Dame kids just so happen to commit.
We're not getting back on that. This is an SVU podcast, but this really sets up well for 2020. They got who they needed to get defensively. And I think in 2020, we're really going to see more of that advent of the offensive lineman and the quarterback, obviously with Drew Pine. But then you're going to get some of these talented wide receivers, and Notre Dame can really hit the recruiting trail hard. They did lose Drew Pine's cousin to Boston College. He was going to be an offensive tackle. He is a monster of a human being. But Notre Dame also picked up that freshman offensive tackle who's enrolled early, and he's just a house of a
Olmstead. I think he's a guard.
No.
Zeke Coral. Nope, he's the center.
He's a center?
No, Zeke's the center.
If Zeke is a center,
it's Coral and Carell, right?
Corral. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
I thought he was the tackle.
He played tackle in high school, so he got moved
I
over.
Probably look literally right in front of my face because I haven't.
We don't do research before this, but Zeke Corral, he is going to be my favorite player out of this class. He is a mauler of a human being. He's like a bulldozer with feet.
He's like
Quinn Carroll
from
is the tackle.
I'm talking about Zeke.
Yeah, Quinn Carroll is from Edina, Minnesota. He's a mauler. I mean, they all are. I mean, this offensive line class is astonishing. Legitimately, I think all of them have first round talent someday. It's going to be like, knock on wood, all things considered, if all things work out, it can hopefully look like Alabama's offensive line in 2012 when they just absolutely killed us in the national championship game. We don't talk about that, but if we can have an offensive line and we can just build upon this, and this is essentially something you mentioned a moment ago, we have so many linebackers, defensive ends, tight ends, safeties, corners. I mean, I think we can get a little bit more upside at the corner position, but really the only thing that we need to improve on, because we have so much depth, is just friggin' running back and wide receiver. How we don't get 5-star guys is beyond me, especially when you have these gargantuans on the offensive line. I think if we can just get some 5-star guys, some top end talent on the outside and at running back, that's the final pieces to the puzzle. I don't know. I'm very excited about everything. I think this was a great class. Whatever. That's my thoughts. I'll let you guys
I have
take
an
it.
answer for why we don't get 5 stars. It's called
Because it's a
academic
boring school.
standards, and it's a shitty place with shitty weather. It's really hard.
Saying from someone who lives in Canada, that is a bold statement.
Oh, Canada's fine.
That's 3. I'm done.
Canada's all right. Again, we're more like you guys than the Midwest, but I mean, nobody's really recruiting to Canada either because it's cold. That's the point, right? Nobody wants to play in shitty South Bend, but it's also just the standards, right? We remove ourselves from so many prospects off academics right away. But the good news with receiver is that this year we're at least predicted, based on the early 24/7 cloud people, crystal ball, to get a lot of wide receivers that are, I think, 5 and 4 stars. So the talent will come there. I'm not too worried about that. We seem to find people every year. Running back, again, not too worried for. That's the position in football that's becoming the least important.
Lance Taylor is going to be a huge, huge help on the recruiting trail, just because of his pedigree.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet, so maybe you should bring that up.
Sure. Well, I really have no more points about 2020 or 2019. I do like early signing day just because you already know where everyone's going. And that's it.
All right.
So
Yeah, done with recruiting.
No, the coaches.
we talked about Lance Taylor briefly. Stanford, Carolina Panthers. He's now the Notre Dame running back coach. He is replacing Autry Denson, who's going to some
Charleston Southern
school. Obviously, Coach Denson did a lot of good for the program, but I think Lance Taylor, with his pedigree of coaching Christian McCaffrey, of coaching
Recruiting Bryce Love.
recruiting Bryce Love. Yeah, there we go. I'm trying to learn this guy as we talk. I think he'll do well. So that's the only major coaching change. I heard Chip Long was being courted by Alabama.
Yeah, he just flat out said no.
They've courted him over the last couple of years. So that's interesting. And then that's the only change, which I like. It's not like that one year where it was a full sale, learn every new coach's name and try to figure them out. And our good friend Tommy Reese is still employed by the university. Hopefully he's still eating his Chick-fil-A nuggets. Good for him. So that's all I have on the coaches. I'm not sure if you guys have any thoughts on Taylor or Denson or how skinny Brian Kelly looks right now.
Dylan?
No, I don't have anything for the coaches. It's just important to kind of note that we lost Denson, but everyone seems to be okay with the Stanford guy they brought in. Stanford's been one of the premier schools at getting running backs, although that probably has more to do with their actual game style and the way they plan their game. But yeah, it should be fine. Nothing really to say. Nothing noteworthy there.
Just quick 10-second note here is just that Kyron Williams, the incoming freshman, he's a 4-star from Missouri. Did mention that he's always tried to model his game after Christian McCaffrey. So when this news came out, he was obviously thrilled because that's kind of where he wants to elevate his game and how he wants to model it after going forward. So I think it'll be good for his development for a year or two, understandably so. There's a lot of depth in front of him, but yeah, I mean, let's hope that we can continue the the trend of some. It's quiet. It's too quiet.
Well, you cut out there a little bit, so we're still here. Don't worry, Steve. So yeah, that's what we have there. There's really no other news or notes right now until captains get announced. Louisville has already started their spring ball, which is interesting. Satterfield is really going all in. but I don't think it'll matter against a Brian Van Gorder defense.
Oh, okay.
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 Yeah,
Well-
I mean it's Louisville in 10 months from now. Like,
So yeah, that's all I got here. Steve is looks like he's breaking up a little bit on his end. Steve, any last notes?
if you can hear me, I love all of you. No, pretty much nothing. Oh, whatever. We'll check in probably a couple weeks as we head into the spring game. Until then, go Irish. That's pretty much it.
Dylan.
Yeah, I think we should maybe keep track of some Notre Dame guys going into the draft as we get closer to the actual draft. I know we had some guys go to the Senior Bowl. There's actually some rumors going around about Jerry Tillery's character. I think we should probably discuss that because I don't know. I've never really heard about that, but that's what some scouts are talking about. But I think
All right,
that's kind of
well,
a
we're
plan
going to extend this
forward.
podcast by 5 minutes. What do you mean?
So with respect to some scouts, there's rumors that Jerry Tillery has character problems, and as a Notre Dame fan, the only thing I can think of is that game against USC in 2014 where he kind of stepped on the guy.
Clemson this year.
But yeah, that was I don't remember.
Yeah, he it was a late hit. He's a bit of a dick, but like I don't think that's a very interesting statement. We'll have to keep a close eye on it.
I
don't
mean,
know.
he's no Demonican Sue.
No.
You kind of have to have a level of ferociousn's to play that position. So
Yeah.
he's
But I
no
think-
Demonican Sue.
I thought, this kid's done internships all over the world. He's a good student and stuff. So I was surprised to hear that. I'm not.
I'll talk to my source and see what read they have on
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's a finance major, which would make sense to make him a dick. Hand up on that one. Yeah, I mean,
That's
I have heard that also they were talking in a few games throughout the year that his work ethic early on was put in question when he was like a freshman or sophomore. Obviously, he just graduated, so
There's a component to that too, where there's questioning whether or not he really wants to play football. So those are the two things about Jerry Tillery that's floating around.
interesting.
And I didn't really. I mean, the second one might be a little more understandable because he's a very ambitious, politically driven guy. I think he's the president of some kind of organization, or he at least campaigned for people. Like he's super involved, and then he did internships. So I can understand if his focus is not on football, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But the character issues thing I thought was a little bit surprising. The only thing I could think of is maybe a little bit of dirty play. But the term character issues almost implies something a little larger there.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that because he'll be our first guy picked probably. I wish Julian Love would have stayed another year, especially for our corner position. But that's
Yeah. And we'll get more into the combine as it comes. Drew Tranquil announced he's having a baby boy. Congratulations, Drew.
congrats on the
And-
sex.
That too. He's confirmed one-time set saver. And other than that, we'll get into it. I know my friend Brad may not be back on the podcast because he doesn't fucking share it when he's on here. You heard me, Brad. But he'll be going to the combine. I'll try to get his thoughts on the Notre Dame players at the combine. And then from there, he'll also be at the draft. So we'll see what he can do for us there. Probably nothing, but I'm kidding, Brad. You can do everything for us. Other than that, that's all the notes I have for today. It was great hopping back on, talking Notre Dame, talking shop. And until next time, go Irish. Don't get arrested.
I have one thing to say. Do you think this gets over or under the average amount of plays we get?
Oh, we're putting over-unders on this? I will run it.
Because there's a diluted market right now for Notre Dame podcasts, and maybe there's a greater. So at the same time, it's also the off season. So what do you guys say? What do we average? 40?
Let's see. Thanks to Anchor, I can pull up all the stats about our podcast so easily. Anchor. If you can start a podcast, anchor.com.
All right, with that, I'm going to bed. Go Irish. Love you guys. Bye.
We average 45.
45. Over under 45, P.
Under.
You know what? I'll take the over on that.
All right. Gentleman's bet.
Good job.
I will say we'll hit around 40.
That'd be pretty good. Either way, we're getting the hang of this thing, and I'm really excited to do it throughout the season or the off season.
We earned 3 more cents, by the way. So
Oh, excellent.
we are there. We are no longer sponsored by a company that I won't mention on the podcast. And until next time, go Irish. Don't get arrested.
Go Irish. Beat prison.